would like to invite Ryan and Joanne, who are here from the Circle for Racial Justice, who will be assisting us in our honest conversations at Lent. Thank you so much for being part of our conversation journey. Might we show them a sign of welcome?
I would hope that you would agree with me. That was a wonderful homily message. Wasn't that wonderful? Well, good morning, church. My name is Ryan Sattler, and with Joanne Supio, we are members of the Racial Justice Circle of Maryland. Since our inception 7 years ago, we have grown to be a community of 40, all committed to eradicate racism in our church and in society. Our members come from 14 different Catholic parishes within the Archdiocese of Baltimore. The Racial Justice Circle is extremely blessed to be working with your pastor, your associate pastors, parish staff, parish council, and your great racial justice ministry. Our collaborative work, which started many months ago, will be presented to the parishioners of St. John the Evangelist on the 5 Wednesday night evenings, beginning on Wednesday night, March 9th. In a minute, Joanne will share with you her own honest conversation experience at her parish, St. Mary's in Annapolis. You have all watched the outstanding videos and the one this morning from your pastor, all giving messages from many of your parishioners, all with welcoming messages to please join them for this 5 nights during Lent. So I ask myself, Ryan, what else can you say this morning that will touch some hearts and have them register after Mass to join us in this journey? St. John is our 25th parish in the Archdiocese, is now holding an honest conversation on racism. And you can imagine from the previous 24, we've had some very interesting conversations. People shared their own stories of hurt and fear and sadness. They shared very emotional stories about wanting to protect their children from issues of racism. Others have shared their own confusion and misunderstanding about race, while others shared that these conversations changed their own personal thinking about race, about bias, white privilege, and admitting that race is, in fact, as Father said this morning, is a sin that we are all guilty of. I guess my Racial Justice Circle button says it all. It says, racism hurts everybody. There's a button for you, just like mine, out on the registration table after Mass today. So we ask you to take this courageous step with us and join with other parishioners from St. John the Evangelist Parish and start your Lenten journey together with an honest conversation on racism. I promise you, you'll be glad you did. And now, let's hear it from Joanne.
Thank you, Ryan, and I agree that you won't be disappointed. I'm Joanne Scipio from St. Mary's Parish in Annapolis, and we are a big church of 7,500 registered families, which means we are like 10,000, 12,000 members. We're the only Catholic church in Annapolis, so we have the whole gamut. The black population only makes about less than 5% of the population. So about 3 years ago, we had a priest our current priest, who was there maybe about a year and a half, and he wrote a letter in our capital newspaper that said there was no racism in the church or the parish. I mean, the church or the schools. So, and I'm saying to myself, having been a parishioner there for 40 years and having educated 2 kids in both schools, the elementary school and the high school, I knew that wasn't true, but didn't say anything. About 2 months later, an alumni of the school wrote a letter in the Capitol saying that they needed to change the culture of how they were dealing with black students in the schools. So at that point, I felt like I really do need to do something. So I contacted the priest, and told him, what I thought. And he said, oh yeah, I think that's a good idea. So we had a meeting of just parishioners. And fortunately, the young lady who wrote the letter, she was not a black student either. The young lady who wrote the letter and the priest clashed at that meeting. The priest had a really hard time dealing with, because he kind of thought like the insurrection that happened, January 6th, a year ago, was the same as Black Lives Matter. And she really lit into him that that was not true. St. Mary's was not the comfortable place that he wanted to believe that it was. So that seemed like a good time to bring the Racial Justice Circle in with honest conversations. So he did agree to let us have the honest conversations at St. Mary's, but it still wasn't an easy road. Because during the honest conversations, we dealt with honest conversations. We dealt with racism, we dealt with discrimination, we dealt with the history of racism. Father was not comfortable with any of that, and made it very, very difficult for some. The young lady who wrote the letter did not come back. She said she would not come back as long as he was a member of the parish. So we went through the honest conversations, and Father told us at the end, you're not going to have many people. And we don't have many people, but we have a core of about 10 parishioners. Now you think out of 75 to 10,000 parishioners, a core of 10 people is not very much. But we do have a group of 10 people who are working towards making a difference. And as of right now, during Lent, what we're doing the Stations of the Cross. We got Stations of the Cross from the Council of Catholic Bishops that deals with overcoming racism. We presented that to Father. We were going to ask him, but then we decided to tell him that's what we're going to do. So we are doing that on March the 11th. And he kind of said, well, I'll let you do it once. So it's not always easy if you don't have the priest behind you. But if you have a core of committed people behind you, you can make a difference. And we are making a difference at St. Mary's. But it's not easy, because as Ryan said, there are some hurts, there are some hard feelings, but it is honest conversations, and we only grow with honest conversations. We don't grow by holding back. And with this group, it's a safe place to really, express your feelings. So what's done there is kept there. So I encourage you to sign up. It's making a difference in our parish. As I told Father, even though we only represent 5% of the population, less than 5% of the population in the parish, the parishioners go out into the larger community, and they have to deal with racism in a larger community. So thank you for listening to us, and I look forward to being with you with honest conversations.